Welcome back to Connect with Christina. And with the climate of our country right now, and in general, I just thought it'd be good to bring someone like my friend here, David Fried with the Fried Group, and he is to me, a personal and a business coach. Tell everyone a little bit more about yourself before we take a deep dive.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me, Christina. It's really great to be here. Like you said, I'm a personal and business coach. I've been in a lot of different industries and a lot of different companies throughout my career, and had an opportunity to work and learn with a lot of people in the large business sense. And one of the populations that really doesn't get a lot of help is individual business owners and small business owners. So growing up in a small business, I thought it was just really important to bring those elements and help small business owners really just achieve what they want to achieve and not let their work and their company control them. So just out there helping small businesses, nonprofits really scale to be successful.
So, being in the position you're in, what is like your personal mantra for yourself? A couple of those that you can share.
Yeah, I think the first one that comes to mind is just I'm here to help people break through, right? Mm-hmm. And because that can mean so many different things to so many different people. In the business sense, reaching that next level, expansion, taking on something new. Or just helping serve their customer base. And on a personal side, that can mean anything from mental health, physical health, finding that true passion, and then getting a plan together to go out and pursue it, right? There's so much there. So really just helping people break through is really like my own personal thing that I drive for. And it's something I try to do every day.
I feel like it's a passion of yours, really.
It is. It really is.
And then like some quotes you live by.
That's a really great question. I think some of mine come from, just great, well-known business leaders and things. One of my favorites actually was my father-in-law's. He was the creator of Six Sigma, and he used to always say, "You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. You can't do what you don't know. You won't know until you measure, and you can't measure what you don't know."
Oh, gosh.
And so, there's a lot there,
That's so
right?
profound.
Yeah. And it's simple, but I love it. Right. So I think that's one of my favorite ones. And another was more than necessarily really just a quote. I think it was a mentality that Jeff Bezos had at Amazon, particularly in the early days, where it was, you've got data and you've got the customer's voice. The customer's voice should always win. They're going to tell you what it is. And so I think those two things really drive me to help people measure what they want to get, measure what they're trying to achieve, and then set out the plan to go make it happen.
I'm curious, though, because I do know how much impact you make in businesses, not just small businesses. I know that that's a passion of yours, but across the board, right? Yeah. What kind of mindset is it that you programmed your mind to be able to pour into others the way that you do? Yeah,
no, it's really that it's, for lack of a better term, it's a growth mindset, but there's always something to be accomplished every day, and never feeling like something's ever done. Not that I'm a big fashion person, but like fashion, right? It's never done. That's the way business is. That's the way my relationships with people are. There's always going to be something people want to achieve or should want to achieve. And so I try to bring that to people in their personal life, in their business, so they can get out there and do that and bring what they're passionate about to the world, whether volunteering or something they're creating in their business.
You made a point, like you really don't know what you don't know. And so, businesses, employers, and just entrepreneurs, they might not know that they need you. Yeah. So can we go over like some of the things that we should put forth or forward so they can maybe stop for a moment and go, okay, I'm struggling with this. I have no time, all the things. Like, what are some of the things that should make them stop and say, you know what, I might call David because this is happening?
Yeah, I think probably the number one catalyst that I've been getting for the past 5 years has been change. 5 years ago, we all know it was COVID, right? Mm-hmm. Now, and without getting political, it's the environment that we live in our country and in our world. change is happening out there, and it's happening to your customers, it's happening to your market, and it's happening to you. So you can either let it happen, or you can get really intentional. And the 4 elements that I focus on with my clients are thinking, planning, doing, and measuring. So when you're taking time to be intentional at each of those things, you can then say, what's going on out there, and how do I need to be prepared so that when something happens, change isn't painful. I've got systems and structure and the mindset ready to change. And so that's the biggest thing. People are like, this thing happened and I'm now getting killed, or this thing happened and I have no time. I spend all my day running around in my business. That breaks my heart, because so many business owners burn out living their passion. Nobody goes, I'm going to start a business because I really hate something.
Right.
They want to do some good, right? And so when they get burnt out on it, they lose that passion and that energy for it. So they're helping fewer and fewer people. So that's been the number one reason people have been reaching out and contacting me and engaging me. The other part is really they're ready for that next thing, but they've tried it, or they felt some pain, or they just don't know how. They don't know how to take it from the idea they have in their head to the plan to then execution. So the other element that we specialize in is scaling. Growth kills, right? It happens to you and it really can become painful. Scaling is really all about putting the things in place so when growth or change happens, you can adjust, you can still be successful, and your business doesn't own you, you own your business.
Well, that's huge right there, because, I feel like that's the part where not being able to navigate that can also impact your personal life.
100%. And I know from what we've talked about and things as well, so many people have experienced loss at some point, right? Typically a personal loss. That's the one thing. Time on this planet is one thing you can't get back, no matter what your station is, no matter how much money you have or anything else. So being in control of that and having the freedom of choice of how you spend your time is the most important thing we have. And so that really, when I boil it down for people and I help them understand, working 18 hours a day, and some people have to, there's time for that, right? We've all been in those situations, but it can't be an all the time thing. You miss out on so much in your life, and in your family's lives and your friends' lives.
That you can't get back.
Exactly. Yeah. So you don't want to be filled with regrets.
So just to help other business owners out there, it's either they're going through change, they're wanting to scale, like you said, maybe they're having personnel issues. Is that one of the other things?
Yeah, navigating. I had a client that told me it's almost like I'm like the marriage counselor for her team, and just helping everybody
get along.
Yeah, helping everybody understand each other.
Right.
Conflict is going to happen, but it's how you go about working through that conflict that's either healthy or it's detrimental, and it really hurts the team.
John Bradley, our dear friend, also, he just had his presentation at BNI, and he mentioned that he's a lifelong learner. Yes. And that's definitely something that I strive to be as well. And I've been managing people since I was 20. And I've managed people from my own age or older, right? Yep. But I don't stop learning. There's always something to learn. Yeah. But one thing stayed true is no matter what company, what type of demographics or work it is, personnel issues, that's like a big chunk that you don't you don't really plan it, you don't think about it. Yeah. But then you're like, wait, you're getting bogged down with that. It's like a natural kind of process in it. 100%. There are so many now managers and leaders in organizations who rose to those levels because of butt time in the seat, right? It's you've been here, we need to bring on a team underneath you, you're now leading the team. And they're not given the tools or the training to understand what that looks like. The expectations, right?
Yeah, and how to manage people and how to help bring people, realizing that people are people, they're not machines.
Right.
And that's where, I think one of the most influential managers in my life, actually, he's now a pastor at one of the churches up here, one of the largest churches in the country, taught me about grace and humanity in leadership. And it really shaped being in a quality control background world. Human error is often one of the biggest causes of quality issues. And to me, that doesn't sit well with me. Human error is only if a human maliciously tries to break something, maliciously tries to be hurtful.
Right.
Otherwise, they just didn't have the tools or the resources or whatever to make the best decision possible. Mm-hmm. They did what they thought was right.
Right.
And leading through that, helping leaders understand that and bring grace and humanity to their team is a really important skill. And I do a lot of that one-on-one with leaders and then one-on-one with teams to understand you can't also expect your leader to be this all-knowing person that has all the right answers. This is a collaborative thing. It's a team thing. And how to help equip each other to make those best decisions possible, mm-hmm. and what to do when they go right and what to do when they don't go so well.
Right. Someone very special to me actually reminded me of just how we need to be gracious to, as a team, people need to be gracious and like kind and gentle to each other.
Yep.
The old saying of, hey, you praise in public and criticize in private.
Yeah.
That's been a thing since I've been in the industry, whatever industry.
Yeah.
But like you saying, bringing grace and humanity, that's so true, because at the end of the day, you have to understand, just like you said, we're not robots. We are humans, and we have a life outside of this work that also, we all say check it at the door. That's not always easy.
Yeah.
You try your best.
Right. And I mean, just think about that too. If time is our most finite thing and our companies require us to be there for X amount of time, taking in and making somebody's life miserable during their work time impacts their personal time. Mm-hmm. And so you really, in most cases, a lot of times the people you work with is who you spend the waking time of your day with.
Yeah.
And so looking at it from that perspective and saying, I really want to make this time valuable to this person, and I want to be a positive force in their life,
right?
Which most leaders do want to be that person. So it's not a difficult thing. Again, it's just the tools and techniques to help them navigate that, and then to help the team navigate that. So
right. Well, for me personally, I've gotten through times where I had a really remarkable type leader, and then the kind that you don't ever want to be, which also was a lesson, and I took both of those and applied it.
Yeah.
But you're right, every day you just try to do the best that you can. But as a business coach, like, what are some of the biggest things that you've seen where a small company could actually scale, but they can or have not because of XYZ? What are those things?
Yeah. The biggest, I think the scale or growth element in that is that growth and immediacy of growth is fantastic, and don't ever stop doing that. But we don't have the time to stop and look at our structure to make sure it can handle the growth. It's just like here, Christina, you're growing like crazy, and all of a sudden you need to double your team. So you say, you know what? I love this office space. I'm going to put a second floor on top. I don't have time to bring in the right crew to shore up the first floor. Just build me a second floor. 2 years from now, you're going to notice cracks in the wall of your first floor, right? Because you put something on top of a structure that wasn't ready for that. And so it starts to crumble. And those crumblings aren't necessarily business failure. It's customer satisfaction stuff. Your product just wasn't as good as it was when you first released it, or your service, or you just spend all your time running around and chasing things all day that you're not passionate about your business anymore. That's the breakage. And that's when you start to see the output and the quality of what you were doing just diminish ever so slightly a little bit every month, until you're doing 70% of what you were or what you're capable of. That's the biggest thing. So really looking at it and saying, that's where it goes back to the thinking, planning, doing, measuring, helping leaders and the people in the organization understand how to do that and understand that it's important. It'll actually help you grow faster when you can scale, because you'll be ready to spot ideas and opportunities for your company that you never thought you could take advantage of. And you'll be able to go into those faster because you have a stronger foundation. I'm helping two folks whom peripherally through our BNI circle do that exact same thing right now. And it's really exciting. The passion is there, and it's not stressing them out as much as it was, even a month ago.
I'm just going to take a second and shout out BNI Integrity, because there's not one member in there that we don't love. We love them all. They are the best, and we're like a little family. But coming back to this, so as a leader, like, in your opinion, what are some of the characteristics or like traits that a good leader has?
Yeah.
That allows them to, follow like the next steps.
Yeah, I think the top three, two of them we've covered: grace, humanity, and then I would say four: grace, humanity, humility, and trust. Obviously, understanding people are people and not robots. We've chatted about that, and the humanity side, right? And understanding that, getting into humility and being okay not being right, being okay not being sure. And that leads right into the trust element. Most leaders don't bring people on because they say, man, I really don't trust this person to do this job at all, right? Mm-hmm. That's what job interviews are for. That's why you go through all that work, because you want to be able to trust the person to do their job. So having enough humility around a table to say, you know what, I'm not 100% sure. This is your area of expertise. Help me, right? Help me make a decision. Help me do this design.
Check your ego.
Yeah, exactly. That's the piece that really like strong leaders embody. And it can come off as that's the way they are in a room. And it can come off as bravado. You hear a lot of times about disagreements in project rooms and things in the early days of some of the biggest companies, Apples and Amazons and Microsofts and things. Those candid discussions took place because those four things happened. Otherwise, people would have been fired on the spot immediately for disagreeing with Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, right? They would have been fired if that trust wasn't there to disagree at a passionate level. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where, that's where it's really important to leverage on that and hopefully do it with grace and humanity so people aren't yelling at each other and things, So it's a really positive environment, but that can't always be the case.
Do you also help companies do a better job interviewing?
Yeah, I have. Yes. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, there was a CEO I was speaking with 3 weeks ago, and we wanted to try this new interview process, and we were going through this process. And at the end, we were talking about kind of the outcome, and he was sharing about a candidate that he had recently spoke to. And he said, I'm not sure about this candidate because of the technical skills. And I said, okay, so you've got this new interview process that you went through and you said you felt good about it. Let's go through that process and tell me where the candidate's opportunity to tell you about those technical skills was. And he went, okay, that's on me. And so understanding how to get examples of work and ask questions that make people uncomfortable to see what they're like with that. Everybody brings their best foot forward, but really asking someone to be vulnerable and candid with you and then seeing how vulnerable and candid they are. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of earning that trust. So that process and the questions that you ask are just as important as what's on their resume, frankly, even more important than what's on the resume.
Do you find that there's some companies that get lazy and they don't actually follow up on references and call, and they're just like, okay, you said you work here and you said you left in good terms. I feel like that's detrimental.
It is. Most companies don't anymore. And unfortunately, there's a lot of laws that prevent you from really getting a lot of information about that person.
Right. I did notice that too.
Yeah.
Like but I feel like there's a cop out there where it's just like, oh, we're not allowed, when it's like you could still answer some questions here,
100%. And asking for, tell me about your supervisor that would give you the worst reference.
Oh, that's a good one.
And why? Yeah. And the best part is that story should be finished with and here's what I learned and what I do differently. When you're never going to get along with 100% of the people.
Right.
But when you can say, I've gone through this thing and it made me a better person because of X, Y, Z, and I may not have just clicked with that person.
Right.
I've had plenty of those scenarios where you work with somebody you just don't click with. But if you can learn about how to make those relationships positive and good, then you're learning something and you can turns into a positive thing.
What's that saying? When you learn, you are always winning. When you learn, you still win.
Yeah, we say that all the time in jiu-jitsu. You either win or you learn.
Yeah,
and frankly,
it's true.
Yeah, we win or we learn or we learn. Even when you win, you should be learning something, right? And those are the people, when they hit that point, that's when they're ready to work with a business coach or their professional coach or their personal coach. When they're ready to take that in, when they realize that there's that learning is always a thing, no matter where you are.
No matter how old you are.
No matter how old, no matter how successful or how unsuccessful you've been. There's always things to learn. I mean, you look at some of the most, Warren Buffett's one of my favorites. He's been around forever. He's the top of his game, very humble about it. Still lives in his original home in Iowa. But the man never stops learning, stops learning.
And he teaches the rest of us.
Yes, exactly.
Do you have any stories of companies you've helped? Well, I have so many questions for you, but an example of a company that you were able to help through your coaching. And then I have another question after that.
That's, I have been blessed to say that every one of my clients has been able to see positive impact from our work together, which, like I said, is a huge blessing for me. I have, like I said, 2 clients right now who are looking, actually 3 clients right now, who are looking to get into something else, diversify what they do, because they realize that being tied to one industry, one area, it leaves them at a lot of risk, personally and financially. So and they have interests. They want to learn about something new. And so they said, this is something I have an interest about, but I just don't have the time or the know-how to do it. And we've been able to create plans, and they're further along. I've chatted with every one of them this week, and everyone has looked at me and said, I would have had no idea. Those are kind of some more of I want to say the less quantifiable ones, keeping businesses operating through COVID and through our current, climate in our country, by diversifying, by finding new ways of getting revenue, by finding ways to save money. That has been, when a client will say, I wouldn't be here today, my company would have failed. That's really special too, and I've got several of those. And
do you help people with their exit plans also?
Yeah. I've helped 2 people transition out of their businesses, one to another business, and I helped a gentleman transition out of his business to retirement, and he had 3 kids who were all not the right fit to lead the organization, but they had great skills to positively impact the organization. So we got out of a traditional CEO model, and that's been a family-owned business for the past now almost 40 years. We worked together about a decade ago. They're still going strong, a very niche company, but they make equipment for the airline industry, and they're based out of Queen Creek, and that's been really exciting to help him because he's been able to retire and play with his grandkids.
Nice. Congrats.
Right. Yeah. So that's been really great.
Just so I have it right, you can come in any kind of area of the business, from helping people streamline their interview process, reviewing what they do, maybe automating things, removing things that they don't need, or am I covering that?
Yeah. Being a crazy learner, my background is really odd. I was the eighth corporate employee at Massage Envy, and the third member of the corporate office that wasn't related to the CEO. And so came in, learned how to do a lot of jobs, develop training, and do a lot of franchise training as a 20-year-old kid.
Wow.
And grow up through that and learn how to do operations in a brand new startup and all of these things. Was mentored by the CEO himself and things, which was really cool.
What an opportunity. You can't, that's priceless.
It really was. And so, but there's that. And then going into and being in government relations and working on contracts and all of that kind of stuff has given me that kind of flair. Working at Amazon, and creating the system and the processes in the department that handles all the data privacy stuff. So all the legal stuff that everybody finds boring and tech development and all of that. We did some really cool stuff. So that's where I really got into like big tech. So all of those things, and then being a psychologist, I just kind of put all those things in a toolkit, and I don't take them out one at a time. I take them all out and I use all of them at the same time. So helping people develop new technology, AI and automation right now is super easy to implement and super easy to look at doing at any scale. Mm-hmm. I've got people that are using free versions of AI to create $1,000 a week businesses just as a startup.
Right.
So they're starting in the green and they're going to stay in the green.
So when it comes to like best practices, best steps, best process, is that something that you bring to the table based on your consulting with them on what the environment is like, the services, the product? So it's all kind of unique depending on what business you are.
The best part of coming in, I've got a ton of experience, but I really go in like a blank whiteboard. And I joke that I get to ask the stupid questions because it's all the simple things that people do on autopilot that sometimes can be improved to give them a lot more time back in their day, to give them energy, to give them savings, all of those things. Mm-hmm. So helping leaders get through that and identify that and put it out on paper. And when they can see things on paper or on a whiteboard of what goes on in their company, how they tie what they do to revenue. And when you understand that, and then you understand all the pieces that tie to what you do. So there's the how, and then there's the what, and then there's the money. And when you put all those things together and you can really make that flow nice and smooth, that's at the highest level what I come in and help people do.
Do you charge for the call, like if they hop on a phone call with you to see if, do you have a consulting fee?
Yeah.
Okay.
So being focused on small businesses, when I got intentional about that, I wanted it to be something that was really affordable for even single person businesses. I only charge $100 an hour. And that's engagement time. So a lot of times that's 1 hour a week doing coaching with at least one person in the company, sometimes 2 or 3. And then looking at like, what are you looking to do? You're looking to build some AI tools.
Hey, Justin, you should sign up. and I can say that because in just talking to you, like when we spoke, it was a lot of insight things that was right in front of my face. But, it's just very helpful and being open to getting that help. As I mentioned, I'm getting a business coach also, or I have one now that my friend Vanessa recommended. His name's Michael. You two would get along because I think you're made from the same fiber.
Yeah.
But, I definitely appreciate like how you are focused on small businesses,
Yeah.
Because they need help.
100%. And growing up in a family-owned business where not literally, but where the family's name was on the sign. Mm-hmm. If you didn't take care of your customers, if you didn't do good work, if it wasn't quality, all of that, you risk you risk not eating. Mm-hmm. You risk not having a roof over your head, right? So learning how to balance that quality service and product, but then understanding that, we could have improved what we did. And knowing that that's how my brain works, my goal is that there's not a single small business that goes out of business if I can help it. And that's really like a lot of people that's where I get you're struggling with this, call my buddy David. He's a great coach. He'll sit down with you and first conversation's a first conversation. We got to figure out if we want to work together.
Right.
And where you're at.
I'll just say that, like, you, Michael, like, I look forward to the conversations just because you guys are objective and that you can take emotion out of the conversation, and I can just talk to you without worrying of anything else,
Right.
and I just feel like that's so helpful. I do have a question for you specifically because you're around business owners. What are some of the traits, in your opinion, of the most successful go-getters that like what they touch, it just turns into gold,
Yeah.
no matter what?
Yeah. It's a great question. Those people tend to have really great people around them. They keep really strong teams, and they trust those teams, which is how they seem to move fast and grow fast, even though they're really scaling, right? Because they're not shouldering 100% of the work. And so that, I think, is number one. Two, they're constantly curious. They're constantly learning, right? They will shy away from making an assumption more than anybody else that I've seen. Successful people are willing to say, I don't know. And then second after that, who's the right person I should be asking? Who's the best at that? Who's been successful at doing that? That's the person I want to talk to. Mm-hmm. And then people that just never let go of their dreams. They're tenacious. And they're really focused about it, right? Every day they wake up and they want to make incremental progress, and they're going to have some days where it's like, man, I was down with the flu, or I was down, and they get really down on themselves for that. But it's like, you've got to allow your body time and all of
Yeah.
that, like give yourself a break, but you'll come back and you'll be right back at it.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I think my husband definitely has all those qualities.
I would say you do too. I haven't found, like, we were talking about it earlier. There's 0 or there's 100. Like, you don't coast, and you are great at asking questions and bringing people together. That's one thing I will say, like, I got to know you through text message. One of the attorneys you work with is on the board of the nonprofit that my wife is the executive director of. And she happened to reach out to Christina and said, hey, Christina, do you have anybody that can donate clothing and supplies that we need for these students in Title I schools to be able to go up to camp? We had a week. And I don't remember how many miles we put on my wife's SUV.
I'm sorry.
But we filled up a Ford Expedition like 6 times going and picking stuff up. No, you supplied almost an entire round of camp for kids with clothing and with supplies and things that they needed.
Aww.
And what they couldn't take to camp went back into the community through the schools that they serve. So that right there, being connected with one person who then said, I'm going to make it important to connect you with other people who I know are going to support you, turned into a week of us driving around and just being completely blessed with outpouring of grace and gifts from our community to help other people in the community.
Well, I would do that all over again. So anytime you guys need anything. But to end our segment, which, by the way, you're welcome to come back anytime.
I appreciate that.
I think you'll help a lot of people, individuals and businesses as well. I wanted to know, do you have a program where maybe someone might not be able to afford you yet, but like maybe someone wants to gift your time to someone else? Like, hey, can I buy a couple hours of sessions with you instead of a purse or chocolate or roses? Like, can I donate that and make you like a gift certificate?
Yes.
Okay.
We have had that. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And we also do not only...
I got you, Justin.
Absolutely. And not only that, but we also take part of the money that we make from our engagements and give back to underserved communities. So typically minority-owned or women-owned businesses and nonprofits. We'll do free consulting work. And I say we, my wife is also a member of the Fried Group.
We love Melissa.
Yep. And so we will give time to like doing strategic planning or something that they couldn't afford to bring somebody in to do. So we do have people that have gifted our services. And that's the great thing. Like, we're here to help people. We will find a way to make it happen. If somebody wants to help someone else be successful or get some help, we're
I just
all
think
about
it'd be a thoughtful gift, right? And then also, as far as the companies out there, you did say you can be hired to present during a team meeting to maybe touch on this topic and this topic, maybe do personality tests. Is that
100%.
Am I accurate? Okay.
Yeah, no, 100%. As a matter of fact, I've done everything from the personality assessments and
Stop me, because I'm gonna keep creating stuff but I know you have it all, but I'm gonna think of something you don't. I'm just kidding.
you know what? I really hope like that we go through, and that's the most challenging thing for me is trying to describe everything that we can do. Because there is so much that we can do.
I would just say for me, I would tell my friends, and it's also both ways, right? You can help person, and I can speak on this because we've had conversations, and I left there feeling more empowered. So, and I want anyone that needs that to feel the same way. So not only can you help on the personal level, but on the business side, I would just say the same way your friends say, hey, if you're struggling with anything in your company, call my buddy. That's it.
Coffee seems to be one of the biggest catalysts for us getting people reaching out, email, right? Two friends sitting over coffee and it's like, oh man, I've been really busy. Oh, tell me about it. And 5 minutes later, it's, hey, you should really talk to this guy. Talk to
and
my
everyone's
buddy.
busy. Where you come in is giving us the time back and managing it, because time will go and pass you by no matter what.
Yes.
It's just how we use it. And that's one of the things, you've taught me, Michael's taught me. And by the way, we can't end this episode without shouting out Lauren Bostic, attorney Lauren Bostic, because we wouldn't be, in each other's lives without her. Yep. And then also, this coffee here will soon be 1019 coffee, because my daughter Leilani has moved back from Las Vegas. She's got a profound history with a great company that she was there for like pretty much 7 years, and now she gets to start her journey. It's 1019 Coffee. Justin, you better follow the account, you too.
I'm already doing it. I will say spending 5 years up in Seattle with Chewy and Amazon, became a huge fan of all kinds of different coffee. I am so excited to stop by at one of her gigs and pick up some great coffee.
Her coffee isn't just coffee, though. Her coffee is filled with life and hope and light.
Right.
And soon she'll be sitting at your desk, and I'll probably get her a gift certificate so she can have time with you.
I love it.
But yeah, congratulations to my baby, Leilani, 1019 Coffee. But tell everyone how to get a hold of you, because there's a lot of people that could really use your help.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. First off, 1019 Coffee, get there, enjoy more than a cup of coffee. Like I'm 100% a fan of that. We have a lot of people that reach out through LinkedIn, and that's probably one of the bigger sources, that or text message. All of our contact information is at the Fried Group LLC.com, and Fried is spelled like fried. And so the Fried Group LLC.com, you can put in a contact form, you can get our contact information, drop us a text message, drop us an email, whatever you're comfortable with doing. Some people are a little bit more shy than others, and that's great. We take it really chill. There's no pressure. We're here to help you. And if now is the time and this is the opportunity, we're here to help people. And if they just want some information about us and what we do, we're here to provide that as well. Because there is so much that we can do to help out. So we're just blessed to be here doing it.
I'm just going to add that if people think they can't afford it, that they are not in a level to hire a business coach, you're wrong. Just call my friend David right here. So until next time, see ya. Bye.